one of my favorite speakers, Inky Johnson, he says this. He's like, look, it's easy to be happy when the sun is shining, but can you still find that level of gratitude even when it's raining and it's storming? And
Mm,
so I
mm,
try to focus on that part. Even
mm.
when things are chaotic in my life and they may not
Yes.
be going the greatest and da, 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 you have to be as grateful about life when it's going well, even when it's not going the best, because you know that there can be an upside. So it's like I'm not a conditional like grateful person. Like I'm only grateful when I'm achieving and when people are doing this and that and when people are inviting me to podcasts or when people are liking my posts.
Yeah.
That's not why I'm grateful or I'm grateful for it, but
Yeah.
I'm more grateful because of the bad things that I went through, the
Mm.
horrible things that I experienced, the traumas that I grew up in, all of the different, dysfunction that I grew up in. I mean, that's what makes me grateful about life and just where I'm at today and where I was able to get to.
Have you enjoyed listening to the Incredible Paul podcast? Are you looking for a way to support it? Or maybe you just want some swag? Check out the Incredible Paul store today. We have shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, hats, stickers, and so much more. Go to incredipaul.org, INCREDI Paul.org, and click on the store link. Or go to the link in my socials bio and click on the Incredible Paul shop. Looking forward to seeing your Incredible Paul look.
Turn this up, turn this up.
Your professional development is one of the keys to your career success. When you combine your desire to grow with actionable steps, your journey to success becomes an incredible reality. Welcome to the Incredipaul Podcast. And now, sharing his expertise, experience, and excellence with the world, here's your host, Paul Ferranbi.
Hi, I'm Paul Ferranbi, and welcome to the Incredible Paul podcast, where we learn how to become the most incredible versions of ourselves by learning from each other. Today, I have Tyrone Jacobs Jr. on the podcast. He's a preemie kid from Chicago, raised in Toledo, Ohio, an engineer, motivational and inspirational teacher, and lifelong learner. So I briefly introduced you, but how about you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Paul, for the introduction. But yeah, I was definitely born premature in Chicago. I was like a pound and I don't know, maybe 6 ounces or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I spent some time in the ICU, intensive care unit after that, and shortly after that time, ended up going back to Toledo, Ohio, because my grandma at the time, if she was still alive, she was just getting older in age, and
Mhm.
my mom was just like, well, I don't want to just leave her there, just kind of, growing older, just alone or just not having anybody around her to kind of take care of her. So we need to, I need to go from Chicago to Toledo. So
Mhm.
that's how that happened. But yeah, man, premature, raised in Toledo, in the hood,
Mhm.
poverty, there's gangs, there's
Wow.
drugs, there's drug trafficking. I mean, the whole nine, like all the stuff that people watch on TV or in movies, I actually grew up around and I actually saw in real life. So
Wow.
it means something a little different for me than somebody who would just kind of watch it on TV or a movie and they get entertainment out of it. It's every time I watch movies that have those type of aspects to it, I always think back to my childhood. I'm like, wow, like I actually grew up around a lot of this stuff.
Mhm.
And so a lot of my childhood friends, like I always say, a lot of them are, they were unfortunately murdered or they're in prison for a really long time and they're not coming home.
Man.
So I was one of the lucky ones to fortunately make it out of all, like, those circumstances and that environment. And, I had good people around me, fortunately, and I had people in my ear just saying, hey, like, I know you have, these things around you, but you don't have to become what's around you in your environment. So
Mhm.
I took heed to that and I was like, okay, great. Now what's the next step? So I'm like, okay, the first step is to just get out of this environment in general. Cause I'm like, all right, there's nothing here. There's no opportunity. There's no, how do I say it? I guess environment for success. There's nothing I can model myself after. There's no role models and the role model that somebody would really have is somebody who is, dealing drugs because they make the fast money, but that's, obviously you do something like that, you're only going to end up one or two ways, which we all know. So I was like, nah, I ain't doing all that stuff. So I'm like, I guess I'll just go to school, go to college.
Mhm.
And I went to Toledo Technology Academy. It's the engineering, curriculum-based high school in Toledo.
Wow.
And yeah, so we were doing engineering concepts and learning about just mechanical and pneumatics and electrical engineering and PLC programming, all types of stuff. We were doing
In
that stuff
high
just like,
school, you were doing this?
yeah, we were doing that stuff in like high school, man. So I've been around just the idea of engineering since 2008.
Mm.
So it's literally 15 years since I've
Wow.
kind of just been introduced to the field in general.
Mhm.
And then I ended up declaring probably my junior year. Yeah, I'll say my junior year. I just said to myself, I said, you know what? I'm just gonna just try to actually become an engineer. And I always say this no matter what. I had a teacher at the time. He was my digital electronic elective teacher. His name was Mr. Patrick Farley, and he taught that class. And I was struggling quite a bit in the class, but I was like, in a way, motivated and inspired to get through it. And I saw that he had his electrical engineering degree.
Mm.
And I said, you know what? Maybe that's something I can do one day. Like, I don't know if it'll actually happen, but
Mm.
seeing him and the way that he worked with me in the class to help me succeed, it kind of, sparked a bit of inspiration for me to go after it myself. So I said, you know what? I'm about to be a senior, about to graduate. Let me just declare that major in college. And so, I didn't have the money at the time because I was initially going to go to Ohio State University, the Ohio State University, I should say,
Yeah.
and it's based in Columbus, Ohio, and I didn't have the application fee money to like actually submit an application. Like, I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm coming from the environment I came from, so it's not that we weren't homeless or anything, but it was like teeter-tottering on that, like how they say kind of, you're like most people are just one event away from everything just, kind of, imploding.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it was. And there's a lot of times where,
Wow.
utility bills were missed. There were times where, we're eating the same, ramen and bologna, every day, wearing the same clothes, all that type of stuff. So,
Mhm.
you know, I I pride myself on that because if you were to look at me like right now or just in recent years, whatever the case is, you would never guess any of this stuff. Like I'd have
Mhm.
to tell you. And so that's why I always kind of use that as my point of pride when I talk about my life and my story, because I don't want people to look at me now and go, "Oh wow, Mr. Positive Vibes and T Jacobs this and da, 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 da," and oh wow, this guy is amazing. Like I appreciate it and I'm flattered by it, but I don't want people to like look at me and think that it came easy or it was just given or it just fell into my lap or I have some magical success pill or like
Mm.
I'm doing some some crazy stuff to
Yeah.
get what I have. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to earn it, and
Mm.
it did not come easy. And there's a lot of things that I had to learn and teach myself along the way. My dad, he was incarcerated for most of my life, so I didn't have him around for a vast majority of my life. And it was tough, like growing up with, just my older sister and then my niece came, eventually. So it was just hard because you have to think about, especially in our community, like there's a lot of like generational curses and traumas and different things and
Mhm.
pathologies that pass down,
Mhm.
through each generation, each bloodline. And so you don't really recognize that until like you get older and you get more mature. You're like, wow, like this is the stuff that I survived, or this is the stuff that I had to go through, or this is the stuff that my family's been going through for all these years. So um I'm just now really thinking about all that stuff that I kind of, grew up around and really taking a look at it for like really what it was. And I'm amazed at like how I was able to actually get through it because excuse me, like I said, I didn't know anything about STEM or engineering and all of that. Like that just kind of came. And so, my only goal was to just graduate college. That's it.
Mhm. Are you a STEM student? Do you have questions about life after undergrad? Are you not sure what professional development really means? Or maybe you just want to meet some incredible people and ask questions to someone who's been in your shoes before. The Incredible student community is for college students who want some help navigating through college, finding their way into grad school, a career, or even starting a business. We will meet once a month for an hour each time. You can reach out with questions at any time through a special group of people you know are serious about their growth as a student leading into a professional. Go to incrediblepaul.org/community to learn more about this. You can also go to my About page, incrediblepaul.org/about, to learn more about me. Join me in becoming the most incredible student you can be.
And escape the environment. It wasn't about creating a personal brand and different names and all
Yeah.
the fancy stuff that people see now. That all came, as a bonus, right? Like my only goal was to say, okay, I have to escape where I'm at, and I don't know how, I don't know when, but let me just go to college and just see what happens. And so after that, everything else that people, have seen or been seeing over the years, that all came after I made that decision and that choice to say, you know what, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to major in, an engineering field, and I'm going to graduate. And
Mm.
so that's what happened. And so, yeah, man, it's been quite the journey. I would
Okay.
say for me, it's been more. I don't want to call it like a down, but more or failures, but just more lessons than successes. But somebody looking at me on the outside would think it's the other way. Like,
Oh,
man, this
yeah.
guy, he never fails. He never. And I've gotten people to say stuff like that. Like people have
Really?
said, like I've had people say the most craziest things to me. Like, man, you should run for mayor. You should run for governor of Toledo in Ohio. You should eventually become president. Da, 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 da. Like I've had people say a lot of like very outlandish, and I'm like, what? I'm like, me? Like mayor, president, politics? But I said that to say, like, not to say it in a braggadocious way, but it's like you
Mhm.
never know how people are viewing you and how they
Mm,
see you.
mm,
So especially being on social media, you have to be careful of like
yeah.
kind of what you say, what you're saying, what you're posting, how you're saying, because people are watching you. They'll never
Mm,
tell you.
mm,
They may never like your post. They may never comment. They may
mm,
never share, but people are watching what you do. And
mm,
so as I've been building, Mr. Positive Vibes and T Jacobs Inspires and all these different brandings and things of that nature, I've noticed that I'm like, wow, people are really watching what I'm doing.
mhm.
I'm not really thinking too much of it. I'm just doing my thing, doing what I want to
Yeah.
do. And over time, the brand just it just morphed into its own, like it's above me. Like
Yeah.
like it's not even me. Like all this, T Jacobs Inspire stuff, all this stuff that I'm doing or have done over the years, it's like a thing of its own. It's its own entity in a way. Cause like I'm just like, man, I'm just posting on LinkedIn. Like I'm just posting, stuff that I care about, stuff about my life, stuff to
Yeah.
try to at least help somebody that's struggling out there. And it became its own thing. And there's some people that, I felt like they believe in it more than me. I'm like, there's people out here who, man, yeah, I'm in Ghana, I'm in Africa, I'm in the Netherlands, and I
Oh,
watch your
wow.
content. Yeah. So, like I said, man, it's all about just staying true to who you are,
Mm,
always being authentic, um, and never letting people put you in a box,
mm,
right? Because, earlier you listed off, I'm a speaker, I do this and that, but there's a lot of things to me. There's a lot of things to you, right? Like you're not just someone who's a podcast host. You have a lot of things going on.
mhm,
So never let people feel like they're gonna put you in a box or a certain category. Because people
mm.
love to just kind of box you in and put you
Yes.
here. And people don't realize that we're all gifted and talented in so many different ways. And I
Mhm.
mean, honestly, for me, I don't even feel like I've even tapped into most of my gifts and my talents. And like I
Wow.
feel like there's so much about myself that I still have to discover and learn.
Yeah.
And there's so many gifts I have yet to tap into. Um, but I still have to say, man, it's been quite the journey, growing up again to this point. But there's been a lot of mistakes made, a lot of lessons learned, a lot of things I've done in my life that I wouldn't say that I necessarily regret, but I wish I was smarter about making certain decisions.
Mm.
And so I mean, that only happens with maturity.
Yeah.
As you get older, you just think differently, or you should at
Yeah.
least. Like you shouldn't
Yeah, you
think
should.
as you did when you were 15 or 16 and said like, almost I'm gonna be 30 years old
Mhm.
next April. So I should not be thinking like as I did when I was 20 and 21 and
Mm.
22. Like I'm not some young college kid on campus. Like I'm about to be 30. So
Yeah.
it's about that time to really be on, that grown man mentality and just, however you define that, and I think for me, it's just like, all right, my biggest thing with my life was just hoping that I could help somebody.
Mm.
And it all came from me being depressed and suicidal and
Mhm.
wanting to take my life and not wanting to be here, not wanting to exist. That's where all these different, T. Jacobs and all these different things, that's where all that comes from is
Mhm.
I remember when I was 17, 16, 18 years old, being lost, struggling, not knowing what to do in my life, not knowing, how to tie a tie, how to put on a suit, how to
Mm.
put on dress shoes, all the things, especially for men, especially for black men,
Mm.
in the minority community, like
Mm.
there's a lot of stuff that we don't know and we don't have exposure to. And like I said, I didn't have my dad. So
Mm.
in a way, as I learned things and how to do things, I just gave away the value. Like I'm
Mm.
not I don't charge people like I don't sit here and go, oh, you want some advice? It's gonna be $25 an hour. Like I don't do stuff like that because honestly, could I? I probably could, but
Mhm.
I don't look at my life as some like transaction all the time. Like,
Mm.
yeah, obviously, right? Like we all want to make money, we all want to be successful, we all want to, establish a business, hopefully one day, entrepreneurship, blah 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 blah. I get it, but my like how I got here was not just, I guess, in a way, what's the best way for me to say this so it sounds right coming out of my mouth. Like I didn't get here by getting over on people, scamming people, whatever the case. Like I
Mhm.
earned everything that I have, and I wanted to use the things in my life that was hard or difficult to help
Mm.
somebody else. So when you talk about, this is this guy, and he's T. Jacobs this and all this, that's where all of that comes from.
Mm.
It was just me wanting to help people. And so I started posting stuff and sharing different things and doing it my own way. And, now it's kind of funny because I look back on like when I was first starting out, kind of doing the social media thing. And like
Mhm.
I look now and it's kind of funny, like I see my imprint in certain places. I don't say anything, but
Yeah.
I see when people are doing certain things, I see I'm like, okay, like you left an impact. Like people
That's
were watching what
awesome.
you were doing
That's very
and
cool.
they're kind of, so and I don't say it in a way to be, arrogant, but it's like
Mm.
I see my influence in different places.
Mhm.
So um yeah, man, I just really wanted to use just my struggles in life to help others. And I think the biggest thing about my life now, and I tried to make it that way, was just helping people. And I'm a person genuinely, for me, like I'd rather help somebody else than help myself. I know it sounds kind of weird because it's like you should be number one priority, which, like that's true.
Yeah.
But I'm a person naturally, like I will help you before I seek to, help myself or to
Mhm.
get something for me. Like if I see you struggling or if I see you, whatever the case is, I'll be more inclined to do something for you than do something for
Mhm.
me. So that's just kind of what my nature is. And sometimes being like that, it does burn you. And
Mm.
people take advantage sometimes, unfortunately, but I'm not going to change the way that I am because it got me to where I am today. So, um, yeah, man, that's kind of just a good way to kind of summarize just the whole journey within our time constraint. And yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Your entire story. And I like throughout this you're talking, I can just feel the passion coming
Yeah.
out, that it's
Yeah.
genuine. And I think that's why so many people connect with you, because
Yeah.
there is no ulterior motive. There's no scamming. There's not something you're trying to get over someone.
And there's a lot of people that exist like that. That's what I'm telling you. So, like I said, man, I don't do this like for the cool names and all the stuff.
Mhm.
Like that all is a bonus. It's like having a cake that you bake and then you're putting all the icing and toppings and stuff on
Mhm.
top of it. But my cake per se is, the depression, the suicide, all that stuff. And
Mm.
then everything else is just toppings and icing, however you want to analogize that, whatever the
Yeah.
case is. But Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not trying to get over on people. I'm really genuinely trying to help at least one person. And so my
Mhm.
mindset has always been there's one person out there who's going to need to see this. One, I'm not
Yeah.
saying thousands. I'm not saying 1 million. I'm not saying 10. I'm saying there's one person who's
Mhm.
going to watch my stuff and study my stuff and get better from it. And
Mm.
that's always been my mindset, was just one affecting one life, not thousands and millions. And it's just one. And so I've always kept that, that one mindset. And I mean, it's turned into what it's turned into so far.
Yeah, no, that's powerful. What your focus on the one has
Yeah,
impact thousands, maybe hundred thousands or millions of people.
man,
That's
thank God.
yeah, that's truly amazing. I want to unpack some stuff from your story as far. I know
Sure.
you mentioned like growing up as a preemie kid,
Hmm.
moving to Toledo from Chicago, and
Hmm.
the environments that you were in.
Hmm.
You kind of talked about some people that spoke into your life. Is that really like the turning point? Were there a few people, or like what do you really feel like was the catalyst for you to start moving forward? Kind of talk me
Yeah,
through.
it's kind of funny. Like some of my homies that I grew up with that are, fortunate, they're still around. They
Mm,
also grew up in that same environment as I did, and so it was actually some of them that was like, "Nah, like, you don't need to do this over here. You need to go to school." And
mm,
I had a good childhood friend of mine. Unfortunately, he got murdered. But
mm,
there was one day I was getting off the school bus to walk home, and he saw me, and it was just randomly. He was like, "Man, you gonna be something one day." And
mm.
I'm probably what, fifth grade, sixth grade. I forget which grade I was in, but
Yeah.
he just saw me walking down the street. He called me over to come talk to him, and he was like, "Man, I don't know what you're gonna be. I don't know what it is, but you're gonna be something." Because he always saw me walking with my book bag and all my stuff and all my books, and so
Yeah.
he was like, "Man, you don't need to do this." And so yeah, I mean, I definitely think that was an early catalyst, like having the positive reinforcement, positive people in
Mm,
my ear, and even people that were necessarily not, I guess they were in that other form of living their life.
mhm,
They still saw me and was like, "Nah, like there's no way he can do this stuff over here. Like he
mm,
has to do." So they still encouraged me to stay on the path that I eventually, ended up traveling down.
mhm,
So, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, yeah, there's definitely people early on in my childhood that helped, and then obviously as I got to high school, and then especially in college. I
mm,
mean, that's where I started meeting, all the different mentors and people,
mhm,
putting my name in certain rooms and certain
mhm.
hats, and really trying to speak life and purpose into my life. So yeah, I'll definitely say there's been people that have definitely, I don't know, they must be doing the right prayers, or
Yeah.
because I know there's been plenty of times where my life could have gone the wrong way. So
Mm.
definitely say, yeah, there's people that's been in my ear for sure.
Are you wondering what's next? Has everything you tried failed? Or maybe you just feel stuck? Then coaching might be right for you. The coaching relationship is a relationship totally centered on you. If you're tired of running on the hamster wheel of life and want to start to see results, reach out to Incredipaul for help. So what are you waiting for? Go to incredipaul.org/coaching, INCREDIPAUL.org/coaching, or at I am Incredipaul on all my socials. Or you can click the link in the bio for your free coaching session. I want to make sure you become the most incredible version of yourself. No, that's so powerful. Mentorship is something I know that's a lot of stuff you do, whether it's one-on-one, it's
Hmm.
really a form of mentorship, and really seeing the potential in people, seeing something
Yeah.
that they don't even see in themselves. Like what you were saying, like fifth or sixth grade, them pointing to you and saying you're gonna be someone where you didn't even see that in yourself yet.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
that's the coolest part about, I think, my journey so far, man, is just, yeah, I didn't know what he was talking about. I had no, like I said, this whole engineering, STEM, all this stuff that people see now. I didn't picture this. Like I didn't. It wasn't that I grew up and I was like, you know what? At 2 years old, I was playing with robots and Legos, and I was taking apart keyboards, and I just knew that was going to be like, no, it didn't happen. I don't have that story, and a lot of engineers, they do have that story, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but my story is very non-traditional, getting into STEM and getting into engineering. So it just kind of happened, and it just morphed into what it is, man. Yeah. So I would definitely say, if you're somebody that's trying to achieve success, no matter what the industry is, or profession, you need good people around you to keep you
Mm,
accountable. And you got to have mentors and coaches, and they serve different purposes, but they're kind of interchangeable in a way. But
mhm,
you definitely need mentors and people to coach you and people to kind of see, like, okay, Tyrone is doing good here, but
mhm,
he's not doing so good here, because
mhm.
it's like a car, right? Like blind spots, right? Like you gotta,
Yes.
when you're driving, you gotta not only drive for you, but the next person that's in another lane or behind you, because obviously we all know some people, they don't be paying
Yeah.
attention. So, it's kind of like you have to be on offense and defense in a way.
Mhm.
So,
So that's so true about what you're talking about, the blind spots and mentorship versus coaching, because there is a difference. But I
oh
would
yeah,
say that good mentors use coaching techniques to
they
kind
do.
of
They definitely
to
do.
yeah, to unlock that potential within you. And then even for coaching itself, you really have to be in the right frame of mind to be coached, because a lot of it is coming from within you. So if you are not even at a place where you feel you can people can unlock something in you, there might be some
Hmm.
therapy stuff you have to do first, because some people kind of think coaching and therapy is the same thing, and they're two totally different things as
They're
far.
not the same.
Yeah, because therapy is more
No.
focused on the past and coaching is
Uh-huh.
more looking forward. So
Uh-huh.
you gotta fix the past so that you can move forward. So
You have to. Yeah, it's like a computer that's infected with viruses. I mean, you can't expect a computer that has a bunch of malware viruses to work properly. You have to, run the software or whatever you got to do, but you have to
mhm,
clean out the junk for it to function properly. And I
yeah,
mean, I don't think people understand that. Like,
mhm,
you can't get to a place of really valuing who you are, loving yourself, building, a higher self-esteem. Because I know all of these things are what most people really struggle with. And I know, because I used to be that
mhm,
person. I used to be the very low self-esteem, low confidence, extremely insecure, da, 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 da. And I'm not saying I still don't have those moments that may jump out here and there,
mhm,
because I mean it's life. You're gonna still have moments where you might feel like you're not as confident or your self-esteem might be a bit low.
mhm,
But I know those are like the two heavy hitters for most people. Like they really struggle with those two things the most, and it being insecure, having insecurities about whatever, whether it's mentally, physically, whatever.
mhm,
So my biggest thing is, like you said, you have to really work on those things the best that you can. And if you can't do it all by yourself, get somebody to help you. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? There's people out there that help with these things. So
mhm,
whether it's a therapist, a mentor, a coach, whether it's your close circle of friends that can hold you
mhm,
accountable, make sure you're good. You have to have those people around you, because you can't. I say this for me, like I did a lot of the work on my own as far as achieving success and but I mean, I'll be lying if I said I did it all by myself. I can't say
mhm,
that, because I had people in my ear. I had people
mhm,
putting my name in different rooms. I had people voting for me. I had people
mhm,
supporting the brands and liking
mhm,
and sharing and making all my stuff, blow up and
mhm.
whatever. So I can't. There's no way I would take credit for every single thing that's happened in my life. And I mean, really, honestly, I give it really all to God. I mean, that's just my faith, my belief.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
I wouldn't, I wouldn't have any of this if it weren't for him. So, uh, I'm grateful for that. I'm thankful for that. And I try to use the things that we're talking about today to just help the one person. And that's, like I said, that's always been my mindset, and it always will be. It's not about the hundreds and thousands and multi-millions. I mean, yeah, I have a dream to get that
yeah,
far one
yeah,
day, of course.
yeah,
But it's not really been about the bigger stuff. It's really, okay, focus on the micro, focus on the small first, and
mhm,
then if you master the small, the big has no
yes.
point but to come eventually. So yeah,
Yeah, no, that's good. You gotta be faithful with the little before you can be faithful with a lot.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not gonna give you a lot to handle if you can't even handle a little bit that you got. So that's why I don't get what people, you gotta practice gratitude. I know it sounds
Mm,
very cheesy. Like, what do you mean gratitude and grateful? And I am grateful. Like, no, you're not, because if you
mhm,
were, you wouldn't act the way that you do. So it's like,
mhm,
I am genuinely grateful that I can wake up every day. I am genuinely grateful that I can go on LinkedIn or go on whatever platform and post something, and people, they're inspired by it, they're motivated, they're pumped up. I
mhm,
am genuinely grateful that I have, something to eat. I am
mhm.
grateful that I have water that I can drink, right?
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I have internet, Wi-Fi. Like
Yeah.
I'm genuinely grateful that I have the things that I need to live life daily, and
Mhm.
especially coming from my background where I didn't have a lot of these things.
Mhm.
So it puts it in a different perspective for me because people, they kind of they're always like, I'm grateful for this and I'm blessed and da, da, da. And it's like you're only saying that because you achieve something or because something material.
Mm.
And you gotta know when people are when they're saying stuff like that because everybody loves saying, "Oh man, my life is amazing." Da, da, da. But one of my favorite speakers, Inky Johnson, he says this. He's like, "Look, it's easy to be happy when the sun is shining, but can you still find that level of gratitude even when it's raining and it's storming?" And
Mm.
so I
Mm.
try to focus on that part, even
Mm.
when things are chaotic in my life and they may not
Yes.
be going the greatest and da da da. You have to be as grateful about life when it's going well, even when it's not going the best, because you know that there can be an upside. So it's like I'm not a conditional like grateful person. Like I'm only grateful when I'm achieving and when people are doing this and that, and when people are inviting me to podcasts or when people are liking my posts.
Yeah.
That's not why I'm grateful. I'm grateful for it, but
Yeah.
I'm more grateful because of the bad things that I went through, the
Mm.
horrible things that I experienced, the traumas that I grew up in, all of the different, dysfunction that I grew up in. I mean, that's what makes me grateful about life and just where I'm at today and where I was able to get to.
That's phenomenal. That's so powerful. This whole attitude of being grateful. It is I know studies have shown that gratitude is one of the most powerful emotions that you can have as far as it changing yourself internally, even if
Mhm.
your circumstances don't change,
Mhm.
can do so much.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, man. Yeah.
And also when you talk about the gratitude is really what you're focusing on, because no matter how bad things get, and I know life can get really bad, even from your story. I'm sure
Mhm.
there's tons of stuff you could talk about.
Mhm.
There's always something to be grateful for, even if it's just waking up to see another day, wake just another breath of fresh air. There's always something to be grateful for, and like because you're a person, I'm also a person of faith, so that keeps me fuel, that keeps me going, that even when things are going bad, I know God didn't give me those bad things because God can use those bad things to work it out for his good and his glory.
I mean, that's the best way to describe my story, man, is
Mm.
at first I was very resentful, hateful, whatever. I had a lot of junk in my heart, but I I got rid of a lot of that stuff because I had to, and I wouldn't be where I'm at if I still held on to that stuff.
Mm.
I could have been a person that was bitter and vengeful and spiteful, and I just want to hurt people all day long, and I
Mm.
just want to, because there's most people are like that, right? Like most humans are like that, and
Yeah.
I say this not because I'm better than people, but like I just know people
Yeah.
because
True.
I know the behaviors. I know how people
Hmm.
act. I know it because I used to be
Hmm.
it. So
Hmm.
it's easy for me to spot out different things, and it's just like you just said, man. You have to be grateful for not just the good times in life, but the quote unquote bad times and negative times too, because they're all things that are should be used to propel you to move forward. And so I just use my past, my upbringing to better myself, and I mean, thank God along the way, it helped a lot of other people too. So I mean, that's really all I can be thankful for, and I just try to continue doing that. And yeah, I mean, hopefully one day, we'll see where it ends up.
Yeah, no, that's very powerful. You're doing amazing stuff.
Thank you.
I want to talk more about the stuff that you're doing, so the audience
Yeah,
can
yeah,
know like more about what you do with
sure.
speaking, motivation,
Hmm.
like where
Hmm.
can they like yeah, just talk more about the stuff you do.
Yeah. So the speaking, that came probably my sophomore year of college, or yeah, I probably said sophomore year.
Mhm.
And again, it goes back to that, sharing the stuff that I went through to help somebody, help one person. So that was my goal, and I said, you know what? If I'm doing all of this on social media and I'm just writing posts and people are taking a liking to it,
Mhm.
what if I did it verbally, or what if I went out
Mhm.
in front of people and did the same thing? So it was just okay. Let me take what I'm already doing and just do it in person,
Mhm.
or just go and do it in front of an audience and see how that goes. And so I started doing that. I started going to excuse me, I started going to different high schools and elementary schools, and
Wow.
you got to think this is all for free. Like
Wow.
I'm not charging these schools. I'm not charging superintendents and principals and school districts to bring me in. I'm not asking for thousands of dollars to speak. Like I'm not doing any of that stuff. So I understood that I had to kind of build my
Mm.
reputation first, and then down the line that stuff can maybe happen. But yeah, I was doing free speaking for 8, 9 years. I mean, literally. So and that's because it's something I'm extremely passionate about, and I really enjoy helping kids, helping children, and hopefully I can help them get into STEM fields, engineering, and even if it's not STEM, I mean something. I just want to be able to say like, okay, wow, like I spoke to that kid, 5 years ago, and now look at him, he's doing this. Like
Wow.
that's my thing. So
Yeah.
I think for me, yeah, I mean I don't mind speaking in front of adults and people in that age range as well, but in that demographic, but what really gets me going is the children, like the kids, because they
Mm.
need it the most because
Mm.
uh they're younger, they're more impressionable, and it's easier to kind of get them to I don't know how to say this, like it's easier for them to buy into kind of like what you're trying to convey because you're
Yeah.
so young, and so they don't have
Yeah.
a lot of things on their brain, or they don't have a lot of traumas, and so that they're okay, wow, I can be an engineer, wow, okay, wow, this is great, like how do I do that? And then I think what's powerful about it is, excuse me, I'm a black male doing it, so
Mhm.
it's even more powerful because I get to be in front of them and they get to see people that look like them doing it, and that's
Yes.
that's that's really the biggest thing is,
Yes.
when I go to speaking engagements now, I might do a Nike outfit, I might look like a basketball player that's walking in the arena, like
Mhm.
because I mean not only just because of my height and stuff, but just because I want them to look at me and not think that they're far away from me.
Mm.
And I can't stand when speakers they get all they do their little stuff, and it's like, dude, like nobody can relate to you.
Yeah.
People can't relate to you. So I've always wanted to be relatable. I didn't want people to feel like they couldn't touch me, they couldn't relate to my story, they couldn't relate to these different things. And especially now in current society and the current climate, like kids are going through a lot. Like I've seen some
Yes.
crazy stuff, and I'm just like, wow, like we weren't even doing this in our generation, like
Yeah.
growing up. So I'm like, I don't even know what the kids are going through nowadays, but it's
Yeah.
it's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And so I try to do my part, man. I'm not saying that I've solved all the problems in the world, or, I'm the most successful person in the world. It's never been that thing for me, but I just try to do my small part in the world, and I try to use the gifts and talents that I have in a genuine way. So,
Mhm.
if you want to, I guess I'll tie this in. I guess if you want to book me to speak, or if you're interested in bringing me in for any reason, tjacobsinspires.com. That's my website. You can go to it anytime and check me out, read more on my story, read more on what Paul and I are discussing today. And
Yeah.
if you feel like it's a good fit, yeah, go for it. Leave a message and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna make sure I put your information in the
Oh,
show
yeah,
notes so that people who are listening or watching, because this is on YouTube and it's on
for sure.
all the different streaming platforms. So
Hmm.
if you're not watching, should be watching on YouTube as well. It's a lot.
Yeah,
You can see the interaction a little bit better than just listening to it. But that
absolutely.
is, yeah, that's so cool that you've been able to do that and doing it for free as well,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
because
yeah.
just because of the passion that you have to see. And I like how you keep going back to the one person that you are focused
That's
on
it.
changing, even though it's literally been thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that you have changed, but you still come back to that, which that is so relatable. And yeah, I like what you mentioned as far as even like what you're wearing, as far as not being distant from your audience,
Hmm.
because whether unconsciously or consciously, I think we've all been to conferences where the speakers are the best dressed. I mean, it just depends on the conference you go to. Like some conferences,
Yeah.
it's just you need to, it's business form or whatever.
Right,
And
right.
then there's other conferences that are more relaxed, and you still see the speaker that is
Hmm.
almost in like a tuxedo. I'm like, he just
Hmm.
stands out from everyone else, got a Rolex or whatever on, and
Hmm.
it's like that person is not relatable at all. But
Can't relate to it.
Yeah, I think it's
Especially
really
kids. Like, how are kids gonna think about a road? Like, you have to be conscious about what you're like, the impression you're giving off. So that's just like you said, right? Like and don't get me wrong, I'll still do a suit and a tie, and I'll
Mhm.
still do those things here and
Yeah,
there. It depends on the audience,
yeah,
but when it's kids or when it's children or somebody that's like really young,
yeah.
I'll go in there in a Jordan t-shirt, Jordans, Nike sweat, whatever, and
Mhm,
I'll just go in there and I'll blaze it. And I
mhm,
don't care if it's 3 kids versus 20 kids. Like, I don't care if it's 1 kid. Like I said, it don't matter the size of the audience. I'm still gonna give you the best value that I can give you because you're
mhm,
spending your time with me.
mhm,
So I don't want you to go and you're like, man, I could have went to the movies, or I could have did something else, or I could have stayed home. Like, yeah,
yeah,
why did I come to this, or why did I pay to come to this? No,
mhm,
I'm gonna give you the fire, no matter if it's one person or if it's 50 people or 100.
mhm.
It doesn't matter. So, like you said, you have to be relatable, and you have to let your audience kind of know, like you said, in their minds, like, okay, wow, I can hear this person speaking, and I can actually relate to them, and that's how you build that branding over time, and that cachet and that rapport with your audience and the people that listen to you and follow you.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, that's powerful. So, do you focus more on stuff in the STEM area, or is it more so just like, yeah, what do you focus on more as far as your audiences?
It's been tough because I always kind of teeter-totter between, I guess, the general idea of trying to motivate and inspire, and then STEM, because I've been successful in STEM. So
Mhm.
I've always teeter-totter between the two aspects, but I'm trying to now maybe narrow down more into STEM, because I know there's a lot of people, I mean, really adults, but definitely kids, as
Yeah,
well, that still don't know what STEM is. They have no
yeah,
idea what it is. They have no idea what a scientist, technologist, mathematician. They have no idea of these fields, and so especially with kids, all they know is LeBron or some rapper out there, and it's
yeah, that's
like,
true.
and I'm not saying that's necessarily wrong, but you got to think about those fields as far as music and sports. Do you realize how difficult it is to be a 1% of a 1% of a 1% of a
Yeah,
1%,
yeah,
to 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 be that great at one field where you do it professionally, for a living? So
yeah.
I don't want to tell them necessarily not to think of those avenues of success, but I want to expose kids to different fields that they can get into that's more uh I don't want to say more achievable, but it's more like realistic, right? Like,
Yeah,
there's not many LeBrons walking around. There's not many,
there's only
you
one
know,
LeBron.
Lil Wayne's walking around, right? And
Yeah.
I'm not saying, again, you can't aspire to be a musician or an artist or
Mhm.
an athlete, but I want kids to, okay, we have those two fields. Now let's talk about these fields over here, because
Yeah.
these are things that you're looking at one. Like,
Mhm.
how often are you going to see these guys like this on TV?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So, or just going on social media, but
Mhm.
you can see an engineer in the flesh, like you're
Mhm.
looking at one. I do it every day. I've been doing it for almost six years, as a career, but I've been around it for 15 years.
Yeah.
So I know a lot about the field. I know a lot about STEM. So I guess to answer your question, I'm trying to narrow down recently into doing just more STEM dedicated work.
Mhm.
But I'm still always open to the
Yeah.
general aspect of
Yeah.
the inspiration as well. But I know with this field and with motivation wears off. And
Mm.
I tell people that in my speeches, like, yeah, you may feel good now because I'm in front of you, but when you go home or when you wake up the next day, you still gotta have that fire. Like, okay, yeah, I have to go get after it.
Mhm.
So motivation is tricky. It's not something that you get every day. It's not something that you may feel every day. That's why you have to,
Mhm.
have discipline. Discipline is the thing
Yes.
that's you're doing it when you don't want to, when you don't feel like it, when you
Yes.
don't have the energy. That's the thing that will set you apart from your peers. So yeah, man, but I'm open to definitely doing any type of talk, but yeah, I'm trying to narrow down to more STEM related activities for kids and things of that nature.
No, that's really powerful. I like how you talked about really that motivation wears off. I think we all know that, but it's not always said, especially by the speaker. Like they're
Hmm.
not usually going to tell you that, and it's
No,
powerful that you
yeah,
say it.
I'm honest. I'm like, look, hey, you may feel good right now because I'm giving you all these different stories and lessons, and you may feel like you can run through a wall, but when I leave, make sure you still have some of that with you, because I
Mhm.
won't always be in front of you. yeah, you may see me on social media, you may like my LinkedIn post, or you may see something like that, but I try to tell people now, like, I didn't get here because I was just motivated every single day.
Mhm,
I didn't get here because I was a positive mindset every single day. That's
mhm,
not realistic.
mhm,
But you best believe I had a lot of discipline, a lot of hard work, and a lot of
mhm,
dedication to get here because those are the three things that you need to push through when you don't feel like doing, the studying, or when you don't feel like working out, going to the gym, when you don't feel like staying, true to your diet, your nutrition, when you don't feel like, or when you want to spend money, you shouldn't really be spending, right? Like,
mhm,
you have to be disciplined, and if you can show discipline in one field, you can show it in other
mhm,
ways too. So
mhm,
that's my biggest message now is just being disciplined, because discipline will carry you further, really more than anything else. Because yeah, I mean, you can have the talent, the
yeah,
natural ability,
mhm,
right? But eventually, that's gonna wear off. So it's
mhm,
like that's not going to take you the furthest. You have to think about, okay, wow, what are the things I can do, or what behaviors can I follow or mimic or implement to keep me in terms of long term success. And those are, like I said, that's the discipline, that's
mhm,
the hard work, the dedication, the even being great. You have to be obsessive. You have to be
mhm,
extremely obsessive. I mean, the greatest people of our time, they didn't get there because they were just doing it on Monday, and then
mhm,
they skip every day and then they do it again on Sunday. No, they're
yeah,
doing it every single day.
yes.
So, you have to be kind of a bit in a way crazy to really achieve massive success, in your field in a way. So
That's good. It reminds me of a quote from John Maxwell, the leadership expert. He talks about that consistency compound. So
hmm
showing up, doing it every day, that's how you
hmm
get to
that's how you do
success.
it. That's how you
That's the
do
only
it.
way to do it. And
And
it's
just
what
imagine how many people how many people you would really be ahead of just by doing it every day. A
Mhm,
little bit of something every day. I mean,
mhm,
that's gonna add up over time, and then eventually you'll start seeing, bigger changes every day. So
mhm,
it's like, if you can do that one thing every single day and just be consistent, no matter how you feel, how the day is going, like, oh man, it's a bad day, I don't feel like it. Go anyway. Oh,
yeah.
it's a bad day, I didn't feel good. Go to the gym anyway. Even if it's
Mhm,
for 30 minutes, okay. But at least you're building those habits. You're building those strong, positive habits of saying, you know what? I don't feel good right now. I don't, I want to be lazy and watch Netflix, or I want to be lazy and do this and do that. But you know what? I'm going to get up. I'm going to go to the gym for 30 minutes, for an hour, do my workout, and then after that, okay, go ahead and relax, whatever the case.
mhm,
But at least if you're building in your brain and your mind, like, do it even when you don't feel like doing it anyways. And I
mhm.
mean, that's that one thing right there is extremely powerful.
Yeah, that's very powerful. We could go on and on that, but
Yeah, about discipline. Yeah.
we're almost out of time, but I want to make sure, is there anything that we haven't talked about yet that you want people to know about you, your
Hmm.
story,
Let's see here. Yeah, we covered my background, my childhood.
or maybe I don't think we
Let's
talked much about what you're doing now because I know you were also work as
Oh
an
yeah,
engineer.
present day, yeah, present
Yeah.
day, yeah. So, yeah, so I work in the aerospace and aviation field. I am considered a aerospace component engineer, and that's basically someone who works on the successful qualification and manufacturing of satellite parts that are basically used in actual satellites. So,
Wow.
before hardware is put into the bigger assemblies for the actual satellites that launch into space, we have to make sure that they were tested right, they're manufactured correctly. You have to make sure all the quality checks were done. We have to make sure there's no, I guess, damage to the part, foreign debris that's caught in the parts,
Yeah.
all that stuff can happen. But we have to make sure basically that the parts that we're looking at every day are successful enough to survive a lifetime in space. That's the whole idea, right? So we're looking at government standards, military standards, NASA
Wow.
standards. We're looking at all types of stuff every day to make sure that these parts, once we take these parts and put them in this assembly and we send the satellite into space, they'll survive, 10, 15 years, which is the intended, lifespan of a satellite usually. So
Wow.
that's pretty much what it is without me saying like the real technical terms. I
Yeah.
try to make it more, English. I mean, or not English, but I try to make it more,
Layman's terms.
yeah, layman's terms. Yeah, 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 like more basic level. So that's basically what
Yeah.
it is. And I've been doing that for almost the last 5.5, 6 years. Definitely challenging sometimes and some days, but I definitely enjoy it. I enjoy doing what I do, and I try to find the sweet moments in my career to really relish on and to be grateful for. So that's basically what I do. As far as my day to day, yeah, obviously, we touched on speaking in my career there. I'm
Yeah.
trying to build that up as well. But yeah, man, those are the main things I'm doing. I'll be doing my MBA
Wow.
next month, so I'll be starting that, another degree. Yeah, going back to school. But yeah, I'll be doing that next month, and yeah, hopefully that goes well too, man. So, and of course, I'm still always going to be building the brand and thinking of different ways to produce different content and different strategies and different things. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much the main things I'm doing right now that take up most of my time.
Yeah. Well, the main thing seems like a lot of different things you have going on.
Yeah,
but
it's a lot, man. It's definitely a
but
lot.
it's cool. That's phenomenal. It sounds like you are a rocket
Yeah, in a
scientist.
way,
Yeah,
technically,
yeah,
yeah, in a way,
yeah,
because like I said, we work on satellites and rocket ships and
yeah.
different military applications, for the armed forces. I mean, we touch a lot of different industries, government, military, like I said, the whole nine, man. So there's not really one thing we don't touch, and I think
Wow.
that's what's amazing about being an engineer and just working in the field that I work in, and it's something that's definitely inspiring to know that I'm a part of, and I just try to do my part.
That's awesome. I love it. Love it. Well, I want to make sure people know how to find you. I know you talked about your website. Definitely share it
Hmm.
again and your
Hmm.
socials.
Hmm.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, so once again, my website is tjacobsinspires.com, and all of my social media is tjacobsinspires as well. So if you go to Instagram, that's my Instagram. If you go to TikTok, if you type in tjacobsinspires, that's my TikTok. Let's see, my Facebook is just, it has it in it, but it's my real name, so it's Tyrone Jacobs Jr. That's my
Mm.
Facebook account. What am I missing here?
LinkedIn
Let me
too.
see.
Of
Oh
course.
yeah, LinkedIn. Can't forget the LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also my real name, Tyrone Jacobs Jr. Like I said, my website, T Jacobs Inspires. So, yeah, it should all be uniform, but if there's any difficulty finding me, just reach out and I'll get you where you need to be.
Yeah, I'll make sure they get connected to you. And for those of you
Absolutely.
for those of you listening, you can go to the show notes. For those of you watching, you already saw, put it across the screen, easy for you to find them wherever you are. But Tyrone, it is, or Mr. Positive Vibes, I should say, it has been incredible having you on the podcast, sharing your story. You're from the very beginning, being a preemie kid with your grandma, moving into tough situations, really having people speak into your life. It's one thing to have people speak into your life, it's another thing to listen and to
Hmm.
walk in it, to get yourself in the right rooms, in the right situations, to go after
Hmm.
the engineering. And also, there's one thing to go after your dreams, but to, while you said as a sophomore, you
Hmm.
started to speak into the lives of others, which is
Hmm.
phenomenal. Most people don't do that type of thing until they feel like they're established, but you saw that you could make a difference in people's lives, and you've been doing it ever since. So
Yeah.
yeah, so for everyone on the podcast, I hope you got a lot from his story, from his perseverance, from the inspiration, motivation, but as well as the discipline aspect of things. It's critical because you're not always going to feel motivated. There's going to be times that you feel like giving up, but really work on your environment, work on the people around you to stay motivated. And even if you don't feel motivated, just do it anyway, because
Do it anyway.
that's the only way you can be incredible.
That's it.
Thank you for listening to the Incredipaul podcast with Paul Ferranbi. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. We'll see you here next time. And be incredible. Incredible.